contemplate what they are gonna do. And when they met with Krishna, they realized those wonderful time with Krishna. They meditate, they remember all these small details. And then when they leave the association of Krishna, they dwell on it. How wonderful time they have with Krishna. This is how they remember constantly Krishna. So this is something that we can practice. So we will continue. I think let's read. The 2-3 days has been gone in between, at least one day. Let's read one paragraph to bring up to this speed, and then we will continue. The gopis then began to condemn the activities of Akrura. They stated that he was taking Krishna, who was more dear than the dearest to them, and who was the pleasure of their eyes. He was being taken from their sight without their being informed or solaced by Akrura. Akrura should not have been so merciless, but should have taken compassion on them. The gopis went on to say, quote, "The most astonishing feature is that Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, without consideration, has already seated himself on the chariot. From this, it appears that Krishna is not very intelligent. Yet, he may be very intelligent, but he is not very civilized. Not only Krishna, but all the cowherd men are so callous that they are already yoking the bulls and cows for the journey to Mathura. The elderly person in Vrindavan are also merciless. They do not take our plight into consideration and stop Krishna's journey to Mathura. Even the demigods are very unkind to us. They are not impeding his going to Mathura." So the love of Gopi is so intense that they can even chastise all this personality. But these personality are so wonderful. They are playing the part to increase their feeling for Krishna. But this is how the transcendental fight goes on in spiritual world. The gopis prayed to the demigods to create some natural disturbance, such as a hurricane, storm, or heavy rainfall, so that Krishna could not go to Mathura. They then began to consider, quote, "Despite our elderly parents and guardians, we shall personally stop Krishna from going to Mathura." And we can see the scene that they were lying down underneath the wheel of the chariots. That Krishna, if you want to go to Mathura, just cross over our body. We want to leave our body. We cannot live without you. That's love. We have no other alternative than to take this direct action. Everyone has gone against us to take away Krishna from our side. They don't hesitate to blame because that intense love is there in their heart. Without him, we cannot live for a moment. The gopis thus decided to obstruct the passage through which the chariot of Krishna was supposed to pass. They began to talk among themselves. Quote, "We have passed a very long night, which seems only a moment, engaged in the ras dance with Krishna. We were looking at his sweet smile and were embracing and talking. Now, how shall we live even for a moment if he goes away from us. At the end of the day, in the evening, along with his elder brother Balram, Krishna would return home with his friends. His face would be smeared with the dust raised by the hoofs of the cows, and he would smile and play on his flute and look upon us so kindly. See, before they get separated from Krishna, this is all the thought goes through the mind of these Brajvasis. How shall we able to forget him? How shall we able to forget Krishna, who is our life and soul? He has already taken away our hearts in so many ways throughout our days and nights. And if he goes away, there is no possibility of our continuing to live. Thinking like this, the gopis became more and more grief-stricken at Krishna's leaving Vrindavan. They could not check their minds, and they began to cry loudly, calling the different names of Krishna. Oh dear Damodar, dear Madhava. The gopis cried all night before the departure of Krishna. And as soon as the sun rose, Akrura finished his morning bath, got on the chariot, and began to start for Mathura with Krishna and Balram. Nand Maharaj and the cowherdman got up on the bullock carts. After loading them with milk preparation, such as yogurt, milk, and ghee, filled in a big earthen pots, and began to follow the chariots of Krishna and Balram. This is wonderful scene to be kept in our mind so we can see the movie form, Close your eyes and see this, what is happening. The feelings of these Brajvasis is so wonderful. In spite of Krishna's asking them not to obstruct their way, all the gopis surrounded the chariot and stood up to see Krishna with pitiable eyes. Krishna was very much affected upon seeing the plight of the gopis. But his duty was to start for Mathura. For this was foretold by Narad Muni. Krishna therefore consoled the gopis. He told them that they should not be aggrieved. He was coming back very soon after finishing his business. And this sentence, keep the gopi, live the whole life that Krishna has promised us that he will return one day. But they could not be persuaded to disperse. The chariot, however, began to head west, and as it proceeded, the minds of the gopi followed it as far as possible. They watched the flag on the chariot as long as it was visible. Finally, they could only see the dusk of the chariot in the distance. The gopis did not move from their places, but stood until the chariot could not be seen at all. They remained standing still as if they were painted pictures. All the gopis decided that Krishna was not returning immediately. And with greatly disappointed hearts, they returned to their respective homes. Being greatly disturbed by the absence of Krishna, they simply thought all day and night about his pastimes and thus derived some consolation. And they are teaching us how to remember Krishna. The Lord, accompanied by Akrura and Balram, drove the chariot with great speed toward the bank of Yamuna. Simply by taking a bath in the Yamuna, anyone can diminish the reaction of his sinful activities. Both Krishna and Balram took their baths in the river and washed their faces. After drinking the transparent, crystal clear water of the Yamuna, they took their seats again on the chariot. The chariot was standing underneath the shade of a big tree, and both brothers sat down there. Akrura then took their permission to also take bath in the Yamuna. And according to the Vedic ritual, after taking bath in the river, one should stand at least half submerged and murmur the Gayatri mantra. While he was standing in the river, Akrura suddenly saw both Balram and Krishna within the water. He was surprised to see them there because he was confident that they were sitting on the chariot. So Akrura became confused. So he immediately came out of the water and went to see where the boys were. And he was very surprised to see that they were sitting on the chariot as before. So when he saw them on the chariot, he began to wonder whether he saw them in the water or not. He therefore went back to the Yamuna river. And this time he was not only Balram and Krishna there, but many of the demigods and all the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. They were all standing before the Lord, who was lying down, and he also saw the Sesanag with thousands of hoods. Lord Sesanag was covered with bluish garments, and his necks were all white. The white necks of Sesanag appear exactly like snow capped mountains. On the curved lap of Sesanag, Akrura saw Krishna sitting very soberly with four hands. His eyes were like the reddish petals of the lotus flower. In other words, after returning, Akrura saw Balram turn into a Sesanag, and Krishna turned into Mahavishnu. He saw the four-handed Supreme Personality Godhead smiling very beautifully, and he was very pleasing to all, and he was looking toward everyone. Krishna keeps eye on everyone. He appeared beautiful with his raised nose, broad forehead, spread up ears, and reddish lips. His arms reaching to the knees were very strongly built. His shoulders were high, his chest very broad and shaped like a conch shell. His navel was very deep, and his abdomen was marked with three lines. His waist was broad and big, resembling the hips of a woman, and his thigh resembled the trunks of the elephants. The other part of his legs, the joints, and the lower extremities were all very beautiful. The nails were like diamonds, and his hands were like diamonds. Waist, and he wore a sacred thread across his broad chest. Bangles were on his hands and armlets on the upper portion of his arms. He wore bells on his ankles, and he possessed dazzling beauty, and his palms were like the lotus flower. He was still more beautiful with different emblems of the Vishnu Murti, the conch club, disc, and the lotus flower, which he held in his four hands. His chest was marked with the particular sign of Vishnu, and he wore fresh flower garland. All in all, he was very beautiful to look at. Akrura also saw his lordship surrounded by the intimate associates like the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar, and the other associates like Sunanda and Nanda, as well as the demigod like Brahma and Lord Shiva. The nine great learned sages were there, and the devotees like Prahlad and Narad were engaged in offering prayers to the Lord with clean hearts and pure words. After seeing the transcendental personality of Godhead, Akrura immediately became overwhelmed with great devotion, and all over his body there was transcendental shivering. Although for the moment he was bewildered, he retained his clear consciousness and bowed down his head before the Lord. With folded hands and faltering voice, he began to offer prayers to the Lord. And that shows that Krishna, original Krishna, never leaves Brajadham. So the Krishna went to Mathura and Dwarka was in a Vishnu form, Vasudeva Krishna, not original Krishna. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 38th chapter of Krishna book, Akrura's return journey and his visiting of Vishnu Loka within the Yamuna river. What a wonderful descriptions. Very captivating to our heart. And our acharyas explain so nicely the feelings of the Brajbasis, that they are ready to give up their life. It just shows us that if he wants to take our residence in Braj, we have to cultivate that mood by practicing our sadhana so strictly. We should feel when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how we cannot, why I'm wasting the time sleeping in the bed where I have the opportunity to associate with Krishna. Krishna is so kind that he has invested all his energy in the holy name, and there is no difference whatsoever between the name and Krishna himself. So this is the process our Acharya has given us, and as we become really fixed up, Krishna will give us more and more of his mercy. So I think before we start the prayers of Akrura in chapter 39, we stop here. That is the best place to stop. And during the day, we can remember exactly how this thing happened. Whole night and day, what we read, contemplate during the day. And when you have the time, maybe 15, 20 minutes, close your eyes and see these pictures, what is happening. That will help us when all our external senses will become useless. We can meditate by remembering those wonderful pastimes. So this is practice. We need to increase our inventory. So if we even have to live a little longer in subconscious way, we should be prepared. And our Acharya has given wonderful explanation. So with those thoughts, the devotee who has to take up another their duty, I would like to offer all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis humble obeisances at the desk of their feet, who joined from Connecticut, New Hampshire, Aurora, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Boston, Boise, Atlanta, Tempe, Phoenix, Austin, College Station, San Jose, Portland, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, Naperville, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Baltimore, Baton Rouge, Alachua, Orlando, Jacksonville, Ohio, St. Louis, Loganville, Georgia, San Diego, Calcutta, New Delhi, Toronto, Alaska. We didn't see from Jammu and Kashmir and Bangladesh today. Maine, New Orleans, Ottawa. We see the Mataji from Laguna Beach, but we didn't see. Maybe she may join from Vancouver also. Houston and Ashburn, Virginia. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And the devotees who wants to hang around and chant for another extra 1 hour and 5 minutes, stay with us. We seek your kind association at all the time. Thank you very much. And the devotees who has to leave, we wish you a very happy, blessed day. And also, I think I humbly request everyone to pray today. Madan Mohan Kundu Prabhu and Sarvatarak Prabhu in Baton Rouge will be presenting their case because that's a residential area. And if they want to have a center, they have to change the zone so they can have the our preaching center there. So they are appealing to the city council today. So I request everyone to pray that may Krishna fulfill the desire to have a center there. For 15 seconds, let's pray. Thank you very much. Let's see, as I was writing to Madan Mohan Kundu Prabhu, that our duty is to put our full blown effort. The result is in Krishna's hand. If it's happened, well and good. If it doesn't happen, then we know for sure that Krishna must have a better plan. This is how we should say. So thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Hari
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari
Dandavat
Bol.
Pranam. We need
Dandavat.
everybody's
Yes.
blessings and mercy today.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Yeah.
Okay, let's chant.